Hey, how you doing? My name is David Duford. I am the owner and operator of Buy Life Insurance for Burial, where I help people like you find quality life insurance. Today's video is entitled The Guide to Getting Life Insurance If You Have Sleep Apnea. So most likely you're on this video today because you are searching for life insurance. Maybe you're just getting started finding life insurance for yourself or a loved one. Maybe you've been declined with an insurance company because of sleep apnea and you're just doing your due diligence to see what your options are. If that's the case, definitely stick around for the entirety of this video because I'm going into deep detail on what you can do to get life insurance if you are or have been or a loved one have been diagnosed with sleep apnea. So let's jump right into it. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of myself and my company, go into a little bit more detail about sleep apnea and whether or not you can qualify if you have sleep apnea. Then we'll talk about the types of insurance available if you do have sleep apnea, as well as the pros, cons, and sample rates of available life insurance options. And then we'll talk about how to apply and then what the next steps would be. So my name is David Duford. I am the owner and founder of BuyLifeInsuranceForBurial.com. Like I said earlier, I specialize in helping people like you find quality life insurance coverage to take care of their life insurance needs. I've been licensed as a life insurance agent since 2011. I've helped more than 3,000 families with their life insurance needs since then. Also am an author of one book here you see in the corner, which is the official guide to buying final expense life insurance. In addition to being an author, I also own and operate a national life insurance agency where I train and work with agents to basically do the same things I do on these videos, to go into their community and educate those people about life insurance options that are available to them. And last but not least, I am married and am expecting my fourth child at any point at the filming of this video. My wife is, 37, 38 weeks pregnant. It's going to happen anytime now, so wish us luck. So let's talk about what exactly sleep apnea is. So sleep apnea is a potentially serious sleep disorder in which breathing repetitively stops and starts. So there's different kinds of sleep apnea, of course. So you've got obstructive sleep apnea. This is where it's more of a physical malady than it is more of a what we call a nervous or central sleep apnea. And then there's sometimes a complex sleep apnea where it's a combination of one of those two particular issues. So in symptoms of sleep apnea include loud snoring, episodes of breathing cessation, and causes of sleep apnea usually are revolving around excess weight, smoking, being older, and narcotic use. So let's get right into figuring out if you got this, if you fit one of those sleep apnea conditions, can you even qualify for sleep apnea? The short answer is most likely yes. The long answer is just going to depend on your age. Generally speaking, what we're going to be looking at on the presentation today is for rates between 25 and 85 years old, and depends on other health issues. You know, I can't exactly determine just by a video if you can qualify. I can guide you on some ideas, but ultimately I have to have a conversation with you to give you a good idea if you can qualify, so feel free to reach out to me if that's the case. So let's jump in and look at what you may qualify for. So first of all, there's several different types of life insurance for people with sleep apnea. And the important thing to understand is you got to know what your options are. And you got to know what your goals are to figure out what your options are. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what you want your life insurance plan to do for you. Maybe you just want to cover final expenses such as cremation or burial expenses, or perhaps you want to have an income replacement plan if you died, that you don't leave your spouse and family hanging, and there's a plan to take care of expenses, to take care of them while they get back on their feet. Also, maybe you just owe a debt and you want to make sure you've got enough coverage to pay for those debts. Second thing you need to consider is what kind of budget do you have in mind? What can you comfortably pay? I'm a big advocate of making sure that when you buy a life insurance plan, you make sure it's easily affordable. I go so far as saying you want it affordable enough that it doesn't even make a difference or a dent in your monthly income, because you want to just buy this thing and forget about it and just know it's there when it's needed. So there's potentially 3 different types of life insurance options. It's just going to depend upon the severity of the sleep apnea and what kind you have. So for example, you got term life, permanent, and guaranteed acceptance. We're going to jump into how all of those works now. So first of all is term life insurance, again, for people who have sleep apnea. Real short explanation of term life insurance. Term insurance covers for a temporary period of time. It's only good for 10, 15, 20 to 30 years, generally speaking, and then it goes away. It's temporary. It terminates, as the name implies. The benefits, though, include some, it's level premiums. The premiums don't go up typically with most term insurance plans, at least the ones I offer, through that period of time. And you usually get the most coverage per dollar of premium relative to the other types of options you have. So term insurance can allow for a large amount of coverage for a little premium relative to the other options. Drawbacks includes you could outlive it. This is the biggest problem with term insurance. You have to understand when you buy it that, hey, you'll probably outlive it because most term insurance plans do not pay out. Why? Because the person lets it go or just simply outlives it. And there are tougher underwriting standards when it comes to term life insurance relative to a simplified issue whole life product. So here's the thing with sleep apnea, to get right down to it, to kind of differentiate, can you qualify or can't you? Here are some underwriting guidelines that I would consider. So first of all, untreated sleep apnea and central mixed sleep apnea is going to be a decline with most term products and non-med products. So when I say non-med, we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you've got sleep apnea and you're in a position where you haven't had it treated, you talked to a doctor, but you haven't gone through the process of resolving it, and if they've determined you've got a mixed between a physical sleep apnea versus something that is not cognitively so much, but is nervous or central related, then they're going to decline you for a traditional product. But hang around, there are other options. If coverage is possible, usually it's because there have been several years of positive treatments that need to be seen on paper. So the underwriters at most insurance companies, no matter what you get, term insurance or permanent, if you do a more traditional underwriting, are going to want to see proof of an improvement in the sleep apnea treatment over a course of several years. But again, if you're already discouraged, please don't be, because there are other options. So let's talk about those. So whole life insurance is the opposite of term. This is what we call permanent protection. It doesn't cancel because of age or health. Plus, the rates never increase, with the exception of what's called universal life insurance. It's not whole life, but what I offer, if I can, is what's called guaranteed universal life plans. And the idea behind these is that we can get a plan where the premium's fixed and get a lot more coverage relative to a whole life plan, but you have to pay the same premium for the rest of your life, and in exchange, you have permanent protection through a guaranteed universal life plan. You have the potential for first day full coverage, and again, like I said, you can't be canceled due to age or health. The biggest drawback with whole life is the premium's higher than what you would get with term insurance because you're buying a guaranteed product that will pay no matter when you die. So you're paying a premium, right, for a better product that will be there at any point. Here's the thing. So non-med, fully underwritten whole life or guaranteed universal life plans with similar underwriting standards will have similar underwriting standards compared to term. So what you saw on the last slide about mixed and central sleep apnea is going to apply to these. Now, with that said, what we want to look at is if you have a non-positive treatment, or if you have central or central or mixed sleep apnea, you do have the potential for underwriting for a quality product through what's called simplified issue whole life. So bottom line here, if you end up having some sort of mixed sleep apnea or central sleep apnea, understand that there is simplified issue whole life products available. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because the underwriting for sleep apnea is much more relaxed with those particular type of products than they are with traditional underwriting on term life insurance and whole life or guaranteed universal life insurance. So don't throw all the baby out with the bathwater if you feel like you're getting frustrated because there may not be those types of options. I specialize in these kind of simplified issue products that can give a lot better flexibility in getting coverage for sleep apnea, regardless of the type that you have. And the other thing, too, that's great about it is many of them don't even ask about sleep apnea on the application, so it's even not even a factor in considering whether or not you're going to qualify. So the last thing I want to mention here is what we call the trump card. It is the last-ditch effort when all else fails. So what we call this is called guaranteed issue whole life insurance, and it works like this. So the pros are the premiums never go up, the coverage never cancels due to age or health. But the downsides tend to be that with guaranteed issue whole life, look, the bottom line is that if this is the last ditch effort you're going to go with, there's no coverage for the first 2 years for natural causes of death. Only your money is refunded back to the beneficiary. It's not until you're fully protected for 2 years that the coverage, it's not until the payments are paid in for 2 years until the full protections is put in full. The other thing too, though, is there is accidental death coverage from the first day that you make a payment on these guaranteed issue plans. And there are limitations of coverage around the $25,000 mark. We can go higher if necessary. But here's the thing. I just want to stress, this is only an option in the most severe of sleep apnea cases where usually supplemental oxygen is used. If you just have a tabletop unit and you use that, that's usually fine. But that doesn't mean if there's other health issues that those may have an implication on your coverage. But either way, I want to be totally upfront with you. What we're looking at here are some options, and this would be a last-ditch option. Most likely you'd have some better choices. So hopefully you like what you see so far, and you know that you can kind of see there are some options. And the next step is to just basically figure out how to qualify, and the process is very simple. You first apply. Find an agent to apply with first. So that I will, of course, nominate myself to do. And then let me drop a quote for you, ask you some health questions to give you an idea of what you qualify for. And then once you like what you hear and once you accept it, we'll apply typically over email or over the phone. There's really no requirement of a visit, necessarily speaking. And then after several days or weeks, your coverage is approved. And then if it ends up getting approved, of course, we have to wait for underwriting's decision. And then you get your policy, and that's it. So final steps here. If you're interested in qualifying for final expense life insurance or any kind of life insurance whatsoever as someone who has sleep apnea, two things you can do to start. Go to buylifeinsuranceforburial.com. Click the contact box at the top or bottom to send me a message. Or call me direct at 888-626-0439. You can speak to me live. Leave a voicemail if you don't reach me, because I do speak with people all day long, and I promise I'll get back pretty quickly. If you like the video, please comment below. Make sure you thumbs up and subscribe too if you haven't. My name is David Duford at buylifeinsuranceforburial.com. Thank you for watching. Take care.